Greetings from the Charter School office. I'm Oliver Bertram, the finance specialist for the office. This sheet is a audit review sheet, so it takes the long, thick audit and puts it into a 4-page summary essentially. So we use this document in our office for communication between myself and others, and it's also utilized for the renewal process, so it's pretty important. We thought it'd be beneficial to bring it to the boards via these videos to keep everyone on the same page and make sure everything's verified and everyone has the same information. So, also this document allows year-to-year comparisons much easier. Instead of having to flip through all these audits and look at all these different pages of the audits, it's much easier just to take these 4 sheets and compare the 4 sheets from year to year. So that's why we created these. So starting off, we'll start here in the statement of net position. So the total assets is 307,657. To show you where these are derived from on the audit, we'll go to the audit and statement of net position again. And then here's our total assets, 307,657. So that's just an easy way to know what's in this column. When we get down here, we have the ending net position. Below that is the previous net position. So this is June 30th, 2013, and comparison June 30th, 2014. So there was a slight decrease in net position for Vista Meadows Academy. As we move down to the balance sheet, these are general fund current assets, and these are the classifications of the general fund. So going back to the audit, the balance sheet is 2 pages past the statement of net position, so 1, 2. We'll see here's our assets and those things, and down here below in the fund balance classification section, we'll see non-spendable, unassigned, and then here's the amounts over here. So going back to our sheet, here's those cash and such, and the amounts, and then we have our fund balance classifications over here. So unassigned fund balances are amounts that are available for any purpose. These amounts are reported only in the general fund. There's no assigned fund balance, committed, restricted, or non-spendable. We'll notice that the non-spendable has a classification of 12,530, which matches up to the prepaids of 12,530. That's pretty common. You can't spend what you've already spent essentially. So we'll move up to the upper right hand corner. This is a breakdown of the activity throughout the year, through the fiscal year of this audit. We started off with 147,707 in the general fund, general fund beginning fund balance. Revenues, expenditures, other financing sources, net change, and then the ending general fund balance. So these calculations right here take the general fund, the ending general fund, divided by the revenue, come out with a percentage. The general fund minus restricted, which there is no amount below, as we just went through right here. This is usually associated with debt service. So there's no restricted, that's why these are the same. General fund divided by expenditures takes the ending general fund, divides it by the expenditures, and then ending general fund divided by beginning general fund. If this is below 100%, then there is a decrease in the general fund. If it is above 100%, then there was an increase in the general fund. So there's a slight decrease in the general fund, which is why this number is slightly below 100%. As we move down, we'll get to these 4 items here. These are a summary of the detailed information that you'll find on page 4 of this sheet and throughout the notes section of the audit. So notes payable, this section is associated with the state aid note. So our balance, our additions, retirements, and payments. Again, this is as of June 30th, 2014. There's no long-term debt. The capital lease is the lease for the building for Vista Meadows Academy. And then moving over here, this is the management fees. This percentage of state aid takes the management fees and then calculates it as a percentage of the total state aid derived on the next page. And then earned divided by fall count takes the management fees and divides it by the fall 2013 fall count, which is the corresponding fall count for this audit year. Below that, we have the total square footage. If this number is inaccurate or if it's slightly off or whatever, let us know, because it impacts these other calculations and everything's automated. So if I just adjust it, it'll adjust everything. So taking that square footage, we come over here, we have revenues per square foot and our expense per square foot, which takes the total revenues and total expenditures and divides it by that square footage. There wasn't a difference, so this 1 is essentially a rounding number issue. Payment per square foot is 5. This is found by taking the total payments or the lease amounts and then dividing it by the square footage over here. So that's where that comes from. Moving over here, we have operations and maintenance per square foot, which takes the operations and maintenance line item from down here and then divides it by the square footage to come up with that number. Then we have our square footage divided by fall count, fall 2013 fall count, excuse me, which takes the square footage and divides it by that count date again. So that's that. Moving down to page 3, this is our general fund percentage comparison. So we have our revenues for June 30th, 2014, as of June 30th, 2013, and then the difference. And then this comparison is done for the expenditures as well. So this is a good way to compare from year to year and see how things have trended or changed. So if we move down, we'll see that here's the instruction that we're going to use in a calculation below, and then our total revenues that we're going to use in the calculation below. But before we move on, if you're ever wondering what these numbers over here are, these are the accounting classifications, the coding. So to figure out what those are, if you ever don't know what those are, you need to know what the meaning of something is. I put the accounting manual into a Word document. After you do that, you push find, you come over here, you type something. If you want to know what basic programs were, you type that in, you push enter, you make sure you're on results, and then you could click, and here's an example of how you do the accounting, and then this shows you the definition. So basic programs are instructional activities including enrichment designed primarily to prepare pupils for activities as citizens, family members, and workers, as contrasted with programs designed to improve or overcome physical, mental, social, and or emotional handicaps, includes pre-kindergarten. So that's a good tool to find answers. And then again, here's the coding number right here. Going back to our sheet, you can look at all these numbers and compare them. As we move down, this general fund balance ending and beginning should match up with that box up in the upper right hand corner of page 1. And then here's the previous years to compare it to. Down here we have our original budget, our final budget, and our actual budget. The difference between the actual and the final budget, and then a percent change between the actual and the final budget. So this is just a quick snapshot for us to compare. This note is here. I don't know if this shows up on your sheet. I don't think it does. This is just here as a reminder for myself and those in the office that the original budget is due July 1, so it's not always accurate as far as comparing the original budget to the final budget, because there's not a bunch of information available at that time as far as count data and that kind of thing. So, but it's required, so that's why it's there. So moving down here, instruction percent of revenues. This just shows the trend of total instruction. That number I showed up here, right here. So here's that total instruction number divided by total revenues. Same thing for 2013, 2014. So that's a good comparison from year to year. Over here we have our revenues divided by the fall 2013 count, and our expenditures divided by the fall 2013 count. So just another comparison, and then the difference between the two. As we move down, these are enrollment numbers for Vista Meadows Academy. These numbers are derived from CEPI, so hopefully those should match up to the CEPI numbers. This number, however, is from the DS 4061 that was submitted via Epicenter, the unaudited amount. So those will be updated as the updates come along after I'm finished making all these videos. So as we move over here, this shows the percent change from one count date to the next. So that's a good way to show the increase or decrease for the school. And then below that we have a graphical representation of the data for those who are visual people. So as we move down further, we have our free and reduced lunch counts. Again, these counts are from CEPI. And then over here we have our percent free and reduced lunch, which essentially takes this number and divides it by the corresponding fall count above, and then comes out with a percentage. and then below that we have another graphical display that will show the trending in those respects. So below that we go to page 4. This is where that information is provided. Again, this is directly from the audit. I put the page numbers to the audit page if you're interested in looking this up yourself. The operating lease, the note payable, that's the debt section. Then we have the management company section, which again is page 8 of the audit, directly from the audit. As you move down, there's no findings, which is good. And then this just talks about the contract from page 8. And then this defines the related parties, that some of the board members of the directors of the academy are also volunteers and advisors to Vista Maria. So this is all from the audit, so it's important to know where it's at in the audit and all be on the same page. So this document is reviewed, and there's my contact information, albertb@bmcc.edu, if there are any questions. I hope this is a benefit to everyone, and I hope that if you have any questions, you feel obliged to ask them. Thanks for all you do for the kids in Michigan, and have a good one. Stay warm.